There's so much money to be made in streaming. There's so much money to be made in Spotify and SoundCloud and YouTube. And the only people that say that there's no money to be made in it are the people that don't know how to do it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Headliner Mindset Podcast. In this week's episode, we dive into the nitty-gritty of how to grow your audience as a DJ and producer. My guest, Graham Farmer, has literally written the book on Instagram growth and has a YouTube channel with over 50,000 subscribers where he breaks down the best strategies for marketing yourself as an artist. So grab your notepads and let's dive in. Graham, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I love your podcast. So thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on this podcast. I've been listening to it so much. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited.
Dude, the honor is all mine. Thank you for shouting me out. That was how we originally got connected. I did an episode in the past with Joe Wiseman, who runs Insomniac Records. Awesome episode for anyone that's wanting to get signed into the Insomniac world. Did a great episode with that. And then, Graham, you have this incredible YouTube channel, and it was really cool to see. I'm like, oh, there's other people kind of talking about my stuff out there too. It was like repurposing content, and I think that was kind of the first time that it happened. I was like, hell yeah. So thank you for the shout out and, introducing my stuff to your people as well. I would really love to start off by just digging into what is it exactly that you do? Because you are a coach as well, in a sense. You're helping artists with marketing. I know there's a lot of different things you do, but tell me what it is exactly that you're helping artists with these days.
So basically, I started a website called Data Transmission 17 years ago, and Data Transmission is now it started as a blog and a music website, and it's now kind of, as music blogs, that all music blogs have done, they've expanded, and now they're kind of channels on SoundCloud and Spotify playlists and YouTube channels and this massive media kind of space that is everything that a blog is these days. So I started that and I grew that, and one of the first things we did with Data Transmission was started SoundCloud, and I really love SoundCloud. And I grew a SoundCloud. The biggest one I've got now is 190,000 followers, and we've done 150 million streams on it. One of the tracks uploaded is it's just about to break 10 million plays.
Wow.
From that, we've grown other SoundClouds one of them is our Data Transmission radio. So the other part of the Data Transmission is it's a radio station, and we have 180 people hosting shows. It's DJs, producers, record labels, event promotions. They all host their own show on our online radio station. And then the final part of Data Transmission is we have 5 record labels. So Data Transmission is its own record label itself. That's the kind of main label. And then we have a DT Weapons, which is kind of like new talent. They kind of start on DT Weapons. We release a few on there, and then if they start growing as well, then we kind of hope that they'll progress onto the main label. Then we have a drum and bass label, DT DMB, because we have a whole drum and bass side, which Shelley, my partner, runs. So I do house, tech house. She does drum and bass, jungle, and I do disco and techno as well. Then we have a label called 63B, which is like a deep tech minimal label. Basically, I used to work at a nightclub called Turnmills Nightclub in London, and 63B was 63B Clerkenwell Road. So I kind of pulled in the old that's where Data Transmission started in the club.
Yeah.
So kind of pulled that, and that's a deep tech minimal label. I really love it, really groovy, kind of really great music, and we have a completely different strategy for that label, which is so fun. And then we have a disco label called Disco Infiltrators, which we just launched 2 weeks ago with a track from myself, because sometimes I DJ under an alias called Ron Mexico. He's kind of in the fancy dress box, and we tuck him away in the fancy dress box over Christmas, and he only comes out for the festivals, and we open the fancy dress box and he comes out with the maracas and a trumpet, and we just kind of put him away for the moment. But we have this label called Disco Infiltrators, and for anyone that knows LCD Sound System will recognize Disco Infiltrator as one of the tracks, because I've absolutely loved them. So that's Data Transmission. And then from Data Transmission, 2017, what year are we in now? 2015, I started working with a young artist called Ben Sterling and another one called Archie B. And basically, I used to help them kind of get tracks signed, and I just did it on as we were mates and we're hanging out loads. And Ben lives from where I live in Milton Keynes, and literally would just meet up, listen to his tracks. I'd kind of connect him. We went out when he got old enough, because he used to come with his dad, because he was still really young then, and him and his dad used to come around our house. Then when he got older, we took him out to clubs and took him networking and helped him get loads of tracks signed. And then some point 2017, Jamie Jones started playing 5 of his tracks, which I'd sent to Jamie, because I met Jamie at Snowbombing in 2011, I think, or 2010. So I've been kind of working with Hot Creations from a DT point of view for all that time, and then helped him get those tracks signed, and then they basically took off and he exploded. So basically after that happened, there was this I had this mad aha moment. Well, if Ben's struggling with all this stuff, so many other DJs must start with it. And that's when I started my Instagram account, and I changed the DT YouTube channel into my own YouTube channel, because it wasn't really doing much. My YouTube channel then is literally artist development, education, and I look at things like Instagram, I look at how to grow on Spotify and the importance of Spotify. I look at how to get demos signed, and that's why I kind of looked. We'd done a kind of series where we've been looking at how to get signed to Toolroom and how to get signed to Defected, and I was like, it had been on my list of things. I have a list of YouTube titles that I wanted to do, and how to get signed to Insomniac, and then your video coming along. I was like, this is perfect. It's basically all the information is in that video, and I just need to kind of chop it up and put my 2 pennyworth in, and what I think from the kind of bits that were said, because there was a lot that was said, but there was a lot that was not said in the gaps. And you kind of, if you understand the bits in the gaps, because you know the space, then
I have an idea. You show me your list of what are the other labels, what are the other videos that you want to make. You give me a hit list. I'm gonna go get all those dudes on the podcast. We'll interview them, and then we'll send all that over, and we'll make YouTube videos out of it. We'll get a little ecosystem going on over here. We'll tag team them from different angles. So you just let me know.
That sounds sick. Yeah. So that was and YouTube and Instagram started 2017, and then I literally didn't do anything with it for a year. And at the end of the year, I was like, well, I'm going to start coaching artists, and I'm going to do one-to-ones, and I basically put it out there that I was going to do one-to-ones, and I thought I had 10 spaces for 10 DJs. And this was after a year of basically just giving loads of information, loads of stuff, and just really not asking for anything, just giving everything. And we had 250 sign up.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, this is mental. And we took basically 20 on. And then we did that for 3 years. And then from that, I built my course, the Artist Blueprint. I've written a book. I have a mini course on Instagram. I have a medium course, the Artist Blueprint. And then I'm just about to release some bigger courses as well. That's kind of my course ecosystem.
It's so cool to hear what you're doing, because there's a lot of alignment, with what I'm doing. I'm just a little bit more, I've kind of been a bit more behind the scenes, kind of working through just more so word of mouth. I post on Instagram, and I'm just stepping into the wait a minute, let me actually put more content out. And the podcast is obviously, kind of put me more out as a public facing figure, and stepping into, kind of the course game over this last year as well, have a course too. So it's an exciting space to be in. And really what I think you hit on a huge point, which is that there is a lot of people out there trying to figure out how to do this, right? And a lot more than we can ever actually really take on ourselves, So it's just great to see other people kind of in that space with the same mission of helping artists, and specifically helping electronic music artists, make a career out of their art and out of their passion, and figure out how to navigate this game. So I'm really excited to dive into that with you. I also love that you come from a long history of being in the game. How long did you say it's been since you started data transmission? You said that was 16, 17 years ago?
17 years. And then before that, I worked for a nightclub. I've been in the industry for 22, 23 years now.
Yeah,
I worked for a nightclub. I worked for Turn Mills, which is a nightclub in London, for 5 years. Cool. And learned so much in that space. So, I've been in it a long time now. Yeah,
so you've seen the evolution. You've seen it all change. You've seen it all shift. I started getting into the electronic music scene in LA around 2009. So it was 15 years, but just seeing, especially in the United States, of seeing how it really exploded over here. It went from being underground to being, so incredibly mainstream, and just the constant evolution of the industry, right? That's always changing, especially in terms of how do we market ourselves. So I'd love to really just dig right in. And get into, I think, the question that everybody is asking and trying to figure out is like, what's the best way to promote myself as an artist? And we can take that in a couple different directions, but let's start on the content side. You know, everybody wants to grow their audience, right? From your perspective right now in 2025, what's the best way to do that?
Do you know what I tell my students is do one platform really well. There's a big thing that you have to be on everything. You have to be on everywhere and everything.
Yeah.
And you have to be on that all at once. And I spoke about that for a little bit for a while. And then I was like, this is draining. Like, I do 2 platforms for myself, Instagram and YouTube. And I have help doing them. I have an editor that edits my videos. And so if it was just me, I would do one platform really well. With doing one platform really well, you literally spend all your time on it from a social media point of view. Like, you learn like all of the trends and all the little things that work and little bits of content that work. And you learn, like, if you think Instagram, for instance, it's got 6 or 7 surfaces that you can put on. And when I mean surfaces, it's got reels, live, posts, stories, notes, broadcast channels. You know, each one of them's a surface, and you've got to have a strategy for each little part. And if you're doing everything else, then you can't have a really good strategy for that platform and each of those surfaces on that platform, because each one of those little surfaces will have a different strategy. So just do one really, really well, and then work out kind of which one's going to be the one you talk on, and the one that's going to be, you know, your output. So whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, or sometimes whether it's just you don't want to be facing you, it could be, you know, X or Threads or something you're just going to type. That could be your output. Like, then the next point is, where's your music going to live? Like, when you start, where's it going to live? Like, for me, SoundCloud is such a good platform. Like, so many people poo-poo SoundCloud, but the last 5 years, there's been such a shift. When TikTok and short-form content came out, SoundCloud had this massive rebirth. And you know that's like SoundCloud Dance, which is actually a genre now within SoundCloud, it's its own little genre, is massive. And the kind of audience within SoundCloud is now 18 to 24. Like, we've seen records get signed from SoundCloud just from a few social media videos, and they're pointing to a track on SoundCloud, and the SoundCloud algorithm is so fun. Like, it acts like a social media, so it's like it's got to have likes, and it's got to have comments, and it's got to have reposts, and you've got to, again, you can message people indirect. You know, in the back end of SoundCloud now, there's a whole fans section, and you can literally message your top engaged fans and say, hey, I've just finished this new thing, have a listen, and really, really just be in the weeds with just your SoundCloud following.
I like that a lot, of just seeing SoundCloud as a social media platform. That's a big perspective shift, rather than just like, oh, my song just sits here, you know, it's just a distribution platform, but actually seeing it as like, oh, this is a way for me to engage with my fans. And just seeing it from that perspective is, I think, very different than a lot of how most people are seeing it.
Oh, totally. Well, if you think about any social media, it's got comments, it's got likes, it's got shares, it's got messaging. That's pretty much the kind of standard template of a social media platform. Yeah. SoundCloud has all those. Like, you can, like I said, in SoundCloud for artists, the back end, you can literally go and see, right, these are my most engaged fans, but also these are my least engaged fans. Like, and you can actually now pull them down within, these are my most engaged fans in the United States or the United Kingdom, and I'm going to see who those are. Imagine you're playing a tour and you're going to the United States, and you go, right, I'm going to go to who's messaged my top fans on SoundCloud, and go, I see you're in my country, or I see you're in the UK, want to come and hang out, you can be my +1. And imagine that person getting that message and that kind of fan engagement, which is so killer, you know?
You point to a really good perspective as well, which I like to always point out, that like social media is about being social. A lot of times when we think about content, everyone's so focused on content. How do I make content and upload it and hope that people notice me? It's very, very different than how do I use this platform to be social, to be a bridge 100%. And a connection point, a way to connect and actually socialize with my fans, and like send them DMs and say thank you and say what's up and comment back and engage in conversations, ask them questions, right? Obviously it takes a little bit of time and energy, but that is going to build a really strong connection between your fans. Ideally, you don't want just a bunch of vanity metrics and a bunch of likes and a bunch of numbers. It's like, I want actual fans that I have a connection to, that they're going to come to my show, they're going to support me. Like, I would rather have 1,000 of those than 10,000 people that just happen to like a silly post that I made, right?
Yeah, 100% agree. Like, The biggest reason people fail on social media is because they post and ghost, and they just literally think that's it. They stick it up and they're gone, and they miss like you're saying. It's a social network. You need to be social on these platforms. You need that connection.
Yeah.
And that's what goes back to my point before. Like, if you're only doing one really, really well, then you've got that little bit extra time to build that community. And that's essentially what the whole point of the thing is. You're building your community, and you're building the people that like what you do, but also in the same mindset and same space as you. I was watching this thread on Facebook the other day, and it was someone moaning about social media, and they literally had this massive load of comments, all of people moaning, and I was going to go in and go, well, but then I thought, well, you found your community. You found a community of essentially other moaning
the
fuckers.
moaners.
The moaners. That is your community. Why don't you get them into a WhatsApp community where you can actually talk to each other?
Yeah, you can all moan and complain about your lives together. Build a community around it. Great idea.
But you could. That's your community. And if you're all into the same music, then you're just the moaner community. But they all buy each other's records, and you found your little community. You know,
Let's go. That's so funny. That's so funny. But this is also a great point too. You and I are sitting here creating more content together, helping people, inspiring people, sharing our message, sharing this conversation because we connected on social media. At some point, you DM'd me or you tagged me in something, and we started having a message together. It wasn't just observing from the sidelines. Now there's a relationship here. Now we're collaborating. That's another part of social media that I think is so important for people to remember too, is like, yes, it is about building your audience and your fan base, but also building your network. There might be fans that you could be collaborating with as well, so just have more conversations is really what I'm getting at.
Yeah, 100%. Like, once you start knowing your fans and knowing your audience, like, they'll start putting little comments in, and then you turn that into content. Like you're saying, like, you can turn that into content and then they become deeper into your community, and you're just building this community of people out, and you just have to start one by one. But I always think, like, if you built one fan a day, and you just really, like, the person that someone followed you today, and it was one person, and you literally messaged them and said, hey, welcome in, or you sent them a little voice note. How long does that take you? No time at all.
Yeah.
But if you did that every single day for a year, you would be, 400 people bigger than you were at the start, but you'd have such a deeper connection with all 400 because you were messaging them back and forward. And then, like, the other side of that is, say for instance, Instagram. Once you start DMing people, Instagram goes, oh, you're friends. Like, it's the algorithm goes, you're friends. I'll show each other your content. So you're actually going to get more views on all your other content because you're using all the features, i.e. using one platform at a time.
Great point. That is such a good technical hack right there. Instagram is going to recognize you as being important to that person, and they're going to start putting your stuff in their feed, and your stories are going to show up at the top of their list. So it's really funny we're bringing this up because literally just before we got on, I checked my Instagram real quick, and I had like 2 new followers, right? 2 new artists, 2 new, potential collaborators, potential clients, potential homies, right? And there was a thing in my head where I thought about that. I was like, oh, because I used to do that. I've had my moments where somebody would follow me and I'm like, oh, cool, let me just send them a message and say, hey, thanks for the follow. Here's a link to the podcast. Check it out. Hope you enjoy the content. Just having a little 2-second engagement, and I don't do that anymore. Right, but it popped into my head this morning where I was like, "Oh, I should just like shoot these guys a quick message." And really, what it boils down to is just not being fucking lazy. That would have taken me 30 seconds to do. Right, it's just like, "Hey, yo, what's up? Thanks for the follow. Here's a link to the podcast," or even engaging in a deeper conversation. So, I think that's what a lot of this boils down to is just not being lazy.
Honest to God, I tell myself, Graham, stop being lazy. Go and do that thing, or Graham, go make that thing. I literally, Graham, go make that piece of content. Stop being lazy.
Yeah,
I don't care how tired you are. Just go and make that piece of content. You'll thank yourself for it in like probably 10 minutes after you put it out. Just go and get it done. Stop being lazy. I tell myself so much to stop being lazy. It's mental.
Yeah. So just to recap so far, what I'm hearing is, one, just really choose one platform, really go in on it, really master that. Don't worry about being on 5 platforms and spreading all of your energy, too thin in different places. I can see how that would be too overwhelming. And then I also really love this piece about like even, looking at SoundCloud as a social media platform in a sense, really emphasizing this importance around connection. Let's talk specifically about Instagram, because I feel like that's the one platform that pretty much every artist is on, I think should be. Obviously, a lot of people are on TikTok as well. What are some tips that you have for really growing on Instagram right now?
With the course I have for my course, I'd say 98% of people, I ask them, what's your main channel? And their main channel is Instagram. So I agree with you. Like, tips for growing on Instagram is firstly, literally, like, you've just got to understand who you're posting for, and you kind of like, if I did a video the other day where if you're starting from zero and you're thinking, right, I'm going to start my Instagram today, where do I start? So first and foremost, it's kind of like that little gather, like just kind of gather a few people that are the same sound, same music, same labels, and it's not a follow for follow thing. It's just you go and follow them and start kind of being part of their community, being part of someone else's community. Like I just started doing this old table football game that I used to play a long time in the past, and I started that back in August, and I started doing their social media for them because I started playing it, and Shelley goes, "I bet you end up doing their social media in about 6 months' time," and I am, because I was like, and then basically I started a channel, and then I didn't post anything, but I just really did the bio really well, like, I'm doing this, we do this, and we are looking for people that are in Milton Keynes that play Sabutio, that just, and we're being really specific. So from a DJ, I make house music, I live in so-and-so, this is one of my latest DJ mixes, or this is my latest release, and really just use that bio space to really tell people who you are, what you do, where you are. And also, if you're looking for bookings, I'm bookable from here. And then start just being part of that community and start gathering people into your community that are in the same place, the same space, the same part of the world. And then once you kind of got that, then you can kind of work out, well, what do they want to see? So many people post on social media with, I want to tell you, and it's not I want to tell you, it's you want to see this, because everyone's on social media just because they're either bored or they're just watching stuff or they're just swiping, and they don't care about, you know, the show that you're going to play unless they're in your community. They care about how they're going to be entertained, what's funny, what's entertaining, and a lot of the time, like DJ content still kicks. Like, still, these are my top 5 tracks, these are my top 6 records, these are 3 hacks that I've done, and it's got to be around DJing and producing, because the new kind of recommendations with Instagram, where they've changed the algorithm a little, like, I've been watching my stats, and the last, like, so many, your posts now are only going to go to 40-50% of your current followers. So that means the other 50% don't have a clue who you are. So that means you need to make content thinking, this person doesn't, potentially 50 people that people watch this don't have a clue who I am. So you need to think about what's going to kind of gather them into your audience as well. Like, what content's going to work for them. So it's like DJ content, it's like, you know, producer content, it's like studio content, it's something that's going to be interesting to this world, to dance music and DJs. And maybe it's like, maybe you do a live stream, or you make a video and you cut it up, or maybe you like I see some really great ones where it's like they'll do a long form YouTube video mix and then they'll chop it up into little bits. That works really well. Or maybe they'll, you know, record a mix for SoundCloud and then chop it into little bits to promote the mix on SoundCloud. Or just some of our ones, they'll just like, these are the top 5 tracks I'm into this week, and this is the top 5 music I'm into this week, and these artists are the top 5 I'm into. A couple of things happen when you do that sort of content. You're tagging all the people, so then again, it's like how we met. Like, you're tagging people in the comments, in the caption, and then they're going to find you, so they're going to be kind of gathered into your community. You're giving to your audience, like, you're just kind of giving them the content they want to watch. And then the final bit is like, if you want to grow, then it's like, then it's about amplifying that content. Can you get people to share it? Can you use things like, I use this thing called ManyChat, which is absolutely killer. Like,
oh, you recommend that? I've seen that before. ManyChat.
So good. Like, if you're giving away a free download, for instance, you just put comment free download, and the ManyChat bot will reply to everybody and say, here's the link, and they'll put the link into their DMs. And what really happens now, if you've got a Spotify link, if you're saying, right, this is a part of my new track, like you're in the studio and you do a production clip and you go, this is me making my new track, if you want to hear it, comment the words disco ball, and then my new track will be in your DMs. And what happens with ManyChat and Instagram and Spotify now, the track's playable from the DMs. Like, you don't have to, you don't even have to, from Spotify, you don't have to leave DMs or Instagram. You can play the track on Spotify in the DMs, which means they can listen to it in your DMs, and you can message back and go, that was cool. Or you can then, but also you can set up with ManyChat an automation that happens 24 hours later what did you think? So they get another message going, what do they think? And then they'll go,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm into it. And then that starts the DM conversation, which we were speaking about earlier, which then shows
Yeah.
them more of your content, which helps you grow.
Yeah. So basically, you can start automating a lot of this, right?
Yeah.
And at least on a basic level, right? Comment this word, and we've all seen that before. Comment this word if you want, the free download or the link, right? And then you can schedule it to have them follow up the next day. Hey, what'd you think of the song, or maybe when they play it or something like that. I love that, and really, what we're talking about, this is AI technology. There's so many new AI tools that are coming out that we can use for our businesses, and so this is cool, man. I saw this one a while ago, and I never downloaded it. I never tried it out, but it's really cool to see how this could be applicable for an artist. So ManyChat, MANY chat. Check that out. That sounds like a great tool to use. Are there other AI tools that are coming out that you're using and recommending clients to use? Is there anything else out there that you find useful?
So I use ChatGPT like every day. I wouldn't just go write me something, because it just gives the base. I literally treat my ChatGPT as a virtual assistant. So I'll ask it, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this? I'll start, like, when my YouTube scripts, I'm like, right, today we're going to write a YouTube script. This is the title. These are a load of ideas I've had about it. Let's just brainstorm that. Ask me some more questions so that you can get some more information from my brain about what we're gonna include in this script before we even think about the script. And then I'll go line by line and go, no, don't like that line. Let's change that. No, I don't like that. And really just go back and forth as it's like my ghostwriter, my virtual assistant.
Yeah. I have a client who recently just had a huge breakthrough around his brand. We've been talking about just getting to the bottom of his brand and what it's all about, and I just kind of sent him off with a few ideas, and then he just went in on ChatGPT and came back next week and was like, dude, like, I just went down the rabbit hole, and now he has this whole vision and all this stuff, and it really helped unlock a lot of ideas. So especially for branding, I think that is a great tool and resource. Just to have some conversations. It will really ask you the right questions if you set it up the right way.
I think don't just use it surface level. Don't just write me my Instagram strategy. I'm a DJ, because it's just going to spit out generic. It's just spit.
Yeah, and it's so obvious too. That's the thing I don't like about it. I've tried that where I'm like, oh, back to me being fucking lazy, and I'm like, oh, write my newsletter for me, and then I'm like, this is pretty garbage. It sounds like you're a fucking bot. It doesn't sound like me at all. I'll go back and do it myself. So
yeah. I've tried out there's an AI in Meta, in Instagram itself. If you go into the search, there's a Meta AI, and again, that works that's on the Llama 4, and you can use that the same way as a ChatGPT, but it actually works within Instagram. Again, you really have to you can't just do surface level with it. I did a video on it, and the results were really surface level, and I think you've just got to treat it you've really got to go into it with it. But the ManyChat thing, I absolutely can't sing enough about it. When you do free download, it can literally you can have the track, maybe you get a clip and they comment, and then the free download is sent into their DMs. So many cool things.
And it's cool about that too is you can start tracking the metrics from it, similar to how you were talking about SoundCloud is pull up the back end and see where are your fans listening. That's kind of the next level of really just being a business owner and starting to understand metrics and marketing. And if I come from my original first job was working at a major record label. It's major labels are deep in that, they're studying every single number. What are the sales? Where's our budget going? Who's downloading what from where? They're analyzing that. And if we're not signed to a label and we don't have a management team, a good manager, a good team, they're going to be studying that shit. And it's important for you, who is the business owner at the end of the day, that it's start getting familiar with that stuff. Pull up the back end and look at who's listening and where are they from. And okay, I put out this song, and not just looking at how many downloads did it get, but let's even say you're maybe running some ads. Okay, you did a boost. We'll study, did that actually work? How many new followers did you get? Crunch the numbers around it. And I think a lot of people are kind of scared of the numbers and kind of scared to open up the back end stuff, which I'm only barely, just starting to do that, where I'm like, oh, I can actually open up emails, and when I send an email out, I can actually look at who opened it, and there's all this information on the back end. Let's start, studying that stuff. So good thing for people to think about.
Yeah, 100%. And then the other one, the other thing for growing is like you're saying when you're running ads, that's such a big one. I do it if a post goes mental, and I usually do it like 7 days after the post has gone up. So I leave it for 7 days, get a load of organic, and see what the organic growth is. If it's doing much bigger than it's an outlier and it's getting much bigger than kind of my other content, then I definitely will go into business Facebook and run this, like, there's a campaign called Video Views, and it basically just pushes the views up so more people can see it and more potentially people can see it. And I really target it to certain areas. I don't use that. I would suggest don't using that boost button. Literally do it from Ad Manager and get your head around Ad Manager, which sounds super scary, and it is. It's like going into a cockpit of a plane.
It's another language. Yeah, it's a whole foreign language. 100%. Yeah.
But what I can tell you about that boost button is, do you know when you're a kid, you used to go to the arcade, and you go to the arcade and you play some games, and then it spit out those little tickets. Do you have that in the States?
Yeah.
And then you take those little tickets and basically go and get a toy from behind or something behind the counter, right? Now, once you're a parent, they spit the little tickets out, and you go, well, I just spent £40 or $40, and that toy is worth about $7.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the ROI is not adding up, right?
Yeah.
So I could have just taken that £40 and gone and bought my child a toy, because they would have got much more for their money, right? And that's how I see the boost button and running promote ads. The boost button is getting those little tickets, because the ROI is not as good as if you took the money and put it into the promote button.
And you hit on a really important point that I think some people don't know yet, which I remember early on when I first was working at Icon Collective and was helping with the marketing department, and we'd be like, oh, this post isn't doing that well, so let's boost it, let's push it, we want people to see this post, and it's not doing that well, so let's put some money into it so more people see it, which is the complete backwards way of thinking, right? Which it's like, we want to see if there's a reason it's not doing well. It's not doing well because it's a bad post and it's not performing. The creative sucks, the copy sucks, like people don't care about it. And so you can only polish a turd so much. Just shoving it in front of somebody's face is not the right move. So exactly like you said, let me see, like, oh wow, this posted really well. People like it, people resonate with it. That's a good sign. We want more people to see that one. That's the one to throw some money into. And also
100%.
Wait, like you said, you gave it 7 days. Like, I want to see how this thing performs. I want to see how it takes off. Sometimes we can shoot ourselves in the foot boosting too early. Like, it hasn't really run its course yet. So you got to give it that couple day window. And then once the traffic dies off, like, okay, cool. Like, now we know people like it. Now go throw $100 into it and, push it out to more people. The other point I'll make about that as well is like, yes, running ads can be a little bit scary. I'm still in that stage of my business where I don't do any advertisement really. Like, I just went and did my taxes and was like looking at like ad spend. It was like, I spent like $200 on ads, like doing like Facebook boosting, here and there. And so I understand, one, it's intimidating. I also understand, two, if I learn this shit, I will 5x my business this year.
I agree with you. Like, that is the wrong way. Like, if you're just making the ads, if you're going to run ads on content that's not doing very well, you're right. That is completely the wrong method. And so that's the whole kind of, the algorithm doesn't like me. The content hasn't done very well, and it's not like I made this I think it's a killer piece of content, but the algorithm hates me. No, people just didn't like it.
Yeah.
The content was shit. And you're right. People will run ads on the piece of content that's a turd, and you can roll a turd in glitter, but it's just not like, it's still not the same, is it? Like,
yeah. Also, the other thing I really like to point out to people as we're talking about spending money on ads is, every time is just to be conscious about where you're spending your money on a day-to-day basis anyways. Like, if you're going, to the bar on a Friday night and you're dropping $100, that's $100 that you could be putting into advertising your next song. If you knew how to advertise, if you knew how to use it, right? I just think about all the like dumb shit that I spend money on. And then like in my head, I'm like calculating, I'm like, oh damn, there's like $1,000 of like ads like I could be running to, to reinvesting into my business. And it's not just in ads. Obviously there's a lot of things that we could be spending money on. There's new creative and artwork or, new equipment or whatever, which I don't think y'all need thousands of dollars of equipment. You can work with what you have. But specifically, you know, with advertising, you could probably be pushing your project forward a lot more. And just to be conscious of, all right, where could I be saving some money every month and have a little bit of an ad budget? Nobody in the music industry that's like really operating at a high level is running purely on organic, right? Everybody is spending some kind of money. There's some kind of push behind it. And especially as you go higher up in the industry, I mean, we're talking like tens of thousands of dollars going into advertising every month and every release to really get it to like those highest levels. So just something to be conscious of that I always like to put out.
Agreed. Yeah. Do you want to know another platform that I really like for DJs? There's a platform that I think so many DJs miss, and it is YouTube. And like, I can tell you a story about YouTube. Like, so many people that just want to be DJs, and I've had this theory for a while, and it's been playing out across a couple of YouTube channels that I've been watching for a while. And if you're not into the production and you don't want to produce, but you just want to be a DJ, then there is such a home for you. Your one platform could be YouTube.
Totally.
Like there's a channel called Flavor Trip. Go and check them out. They're absolutely banging. They started maybe 30 months ago. I think this is their 3-year in November. And they do 2 videos a month, one every 2 weeks, and they're up to like 600,000 subscribers just doing DJ mixes. Some of their mixes have had 4-5 million streams. They've built this mad community in Patreon. All their community posts on YouTube get mad comments, mad engagement. They've built a merch brand off the back of it, and no production. They're just playing really cool music. They're filming on a couple of iPhones, a light. Maybe they started on a controller. They're touring around Europe. They were touring around Europe in their vans. They were living this nomad life, and it's really sick. So if you're trying to think like, right, what channel do I pick and what channel do I want to be? But I'm not into the short form content thing. I don't want to be, doing this. I don't want to be doing that. Yeah. My God, just start making a YouTube video, and then, but again, like learn the platform, like titles, thumbnails, descriptions, all are absolutely must be the absolute killer. Yeah. That's the thing you need to learn,
Yeah, if you can crack that code, man, it's wild how fast you can grow. My friend and previous business partner, Chris White, he runs a branding agency called the Cult Creatives, and it's funny, he actually is the one that gave me the name Headliner Mindset. He's like a branding genius, and so we were just chatting, and it popped into his head. He was like, Headliner Mindset, like that's what you do. And I was like, oh shit. And so he kind of created the brand, for me. But then he went and created his own podcast relatively recently, and just already has like 15,000 followers on his YouTube channel, because it's like, one, he's got really good quality stuff, really good cameras and everything, but he just sat down, he's like, all right, I'm gonna figure out this YouTube thing. I'm gonna figure out what are the right titles to use, what are the right thumbnails, and there's a science behind it, but yeah, he sat down and figured it out and really cracked the code on it. So I totally agree. And the other part about that is like, DJing and the DJ life, as far as getting on airplanes every week, a lot of people think they want that, but I think it's important to really get clear if that is something that you want. A lot of people really love making music, and that's awesome. And a lot of people think that that's the only way that they can really make money from it is I have to do this DJ thing. And so that is not always the best lifestyle. You have to have the right kind of mindset, the right kind of like road warrior personality. Like, you got to love that shit. Otherwise it's like, it's incredibly exhausting physically, mentally, emotionally. So, if that's not for you, like I know for me, I would not want to be gone all the time. Like, I'm a bit more of a homebody. I like to be in my own bed and go to the gym in the morning and that kind of shit. It's like, you got to get real about what kind of lifestyle you want to live. There's also, I've seen, duos where it's like maybe there's one guy that tours and then you're more of the producer for that project, and you're not really the face of it, but you're making music for it. And there's a lot of those situations out there as well. So it's just good to get really clear on like if that really is the path that you want to go down. Another great episode to shout out was one with Laid Back Luke, where he really talked about just the reality of what it's like to be on the road and how tough that can be. So definitely go check that episode out. A total legend of a DJ.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing. Like, that's so mental. Like, you have to be so like, this is what I want to do. Like, and there are so, like you're saying, some people just want to be producers, and there are monies to make money. It's like you can, you could produce and you could put stuff on Bandcamp, and your output could be SoundCloud, and maybe you put it on the streaming platform for discoverability. But your kind of real focus is that space, or maybe your production is, I get really good at producing. I release some labels, but then I'm just going to teach, or I'm going to do something else. I'm going to have a Discord where I do feedbacks, and it's about finding that little space that's yours. And maybe you're a DJ, like I said, YouTube, and understanding that side, or just find your platform and your space that's going to work for you, and then you can go forward.
I had a client who was making 20 grand a month off YouTube. And that was, and he had an artist brand, and he would tour like a little bit, but he was like, dude, he's like, I don't have to. I'm making 20 grand a month off YouTube, because he just cracked the code. It was like SoundCloud and YouTube, but just streaming. A lot of people think there's no money from streaming. Whatever he was doing was working, and he was getting like millions of plays on both platforms. And he's like, this is more than enough to live on, and he's doing okay with it. So there is money there to be made if you're making really good shit and you figure out the platforms.
There's so much money to be made in streaming. There's so much money to be made in Spotify and SoundCloud and YouTube. And the only people that say that there's no money to be made in it are the people that don't know how to do it. And they're in the wrong, like they're talking about mindset. They're in the wrong mindset. They're just, instead of moaning that they're not making any money, then go and work out how to do it. There is money to be made. If you look at some of the biggest record labels, they'll openly say, 40% of their revenue is from music and streaming and royalties. So
totally,
the 100% is money to be made in it.
So before we got on the call, we were celebrating this new book that you put out. Congratulations, first of all. Yes, you have it right here, physically holding the actual book. It's so cool. I'm so excited to see that for you. Like, I've always, in the back of my mind, I've had that idea of like writing a book someday. It seems like such a daunting task to sit there and get all the ideas out of your head and actually put them in a way that makes sense and finding the right words. So first off, just kudos to you for sitting down, doing the work, making it come to life. I would love to hear about the book. Tell us about what this book is.
So basically, the book's called Gather, Give and Grow. It's basically the social media blueprint for Instagram, for DJs and producers. And I started this process last summer. Like you say, I've wanted to write a book for a long time, and I've bought so many books from creators on YouTube and that have turned things into books. And I always think like a book, like an album. Like, you don't just kind of drop an album. You have loads of singles, and you build an audience, and you build a community, and then when you drop the book, people actually want a book from you, and not just it's just not going to go out there and not do anything, So I started it last summer. I was sitting there thinking, I've got all these YouTube scripts. Like, for every video, I write a really long, probably 20-page script.
Wow.
And I spend maybe 2 days researching and looking for data and looking at like case studies that work, and I'm spending more and more time now on scripts for YouTube. And then I was like, well, I've got all these scripts.
Yeah.
What if I just upload them all to ChatGPT and see what it can do with them?
Yeah.
And then it's got all of my conscious thought from all of my scripts, and maybe it could then turn it into a book. So I did that, and it kind of went, I don't know what to do with all this. And it started doing it, and it took a while.
It's like,
and then
overload.
Fucking I nearly melted it. Because if you think, it's like probably 400 or 500 scripts, and it took me ages to upload them all, because you can only upload them in like 10. So I literally sat there for days. And then I started thinking, right, well, that took a bit of time, and so then I started just doing the Instagram ones, and then I was like, well, if I just do Instagram, that's a lot less scripts. I'll just copy all that in, and let's see what it spits out. And then I basically started spitting me out a kind of like a structure. Do you happy with this structure? And I was like, that's quite cool. Mm-hmm. And then, a bit later in the year, I saw this Instagram post, and it was like the 3 E's of growing on Instagram. And I was like, well, that's quite cool. But my name begins with a G, and I wonder if there's 3 G's, and so that's where we get our Gather, Give and Grow, basically.
Gather, Give and Grow.
So then I started working out like, what are these 3 G's, and if they can be, if it's even possible. And then that sort of worked out, and then that kind of thing molded into this, like the 3 sections of the book, and then we could kind of like work out what each section is going to be, and start then turning into this finished product. And then And then you start getting I did it with Amazon Print on Demand. It was super easy. So you should definitely do it, dude. You can basically get the transcriptions now for all these YouTube videos. So there's an AI that basically pulls all the transcriptions and you put that transcription into ChatGPT, and it gives you like all of the chat and who said what, and basically gives you more stuff you can put into a book.
Okay, here's what I'll say is, if at least 5 of you send me a DM or comment that you want me to write the Headliner Mindset book, I'm gonna fucking do it. All right. But you
should all comment. Definitely all comment. Yeah.
Let me know. Let me know if we should do it or if I get to continue being lazy and not do it.
I might go and get all my team. There's at least 5 of them. They can go and comment.
So what does this book cover? Walk us through what this is. What are some of the big points that you're making here in the book? What does gather, give, and grow mean? Let's start there.
So like, as we spoke about with the Instagram, you may have noticed I weaved it in there in the Instagram section. Yeah. So we're kind of gathering an audience that like we're into what you're doing. Like it's about finding that little tribe that starts off with, and then you're kind of give them the content they want to watch.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about growing, and we're going to talk about ads, and we're going to talk about influencers, and trying to really push that content that's really working to the wider sphere, you know.
Got it.
But yeah, it's really fun. Like you do it with Amazon, you upload it, you upload the cover. And then you start. I've got some like so we've got early proof. They start sending you early proof, so you can see like.
Okay.
There's a kind of difference between on the YouTube videos. So
yeah. Oh, dude, I'm so excited for you, man. I'm gonna have to order a copy. I think that's so cool. You know, it's like living in this digital content era. We kind of lose. You know, we've lost the art of books. I think. You know, like I that's for me. I've always grew up just like you can see behind me. I'm like I'm a bookworm. So I love that we get to put some of this stuff into physical, tangible, readable books now. That's really cool.
Then the fun bit started. I finished writing it. I writing the fun bit, and I've written the book, and then it's like, right, let's start working the social media strategy out, and let's start making the content, and let's start planning the. And the only thing you couldn't do with Amazon was like you couldn't get a pre-order link, so I had to build this like broadcast channel in ManyChat that basically everyone signed up to and then I could basically blast them on release day, which worked so well.
Cool.
Because essentially once we blasted them, had loads of purchases on day one, and we got an Amazon. We had 2 Amazon category bestsellers #1s for two of the book categories on Amazon, which was absolutely buzzing.
Let's go,
really cool.
Man. Congratulations. Well, everybody go to Amazon, order a copy of the book. Make sure you are following Graham on Instagram and your YouTube channel as well. It's under your personal brand.
Yeah, Graham,
Graham Farmer. Cool. I'll make sure to include the links for all of those in the show notes. And I know you're also running the Artist Blueprint. It's called the Artist Blueprint, right? The Artist Blueprint course that you have too. So go follow him. Check out all the courses, all of the books. If you're trying to grow your brand and your career as an artist, this is obviously somebody that you want to be following. So, Graham, thank you so much for taking the time to come through. And I'm excited to collaborate with you more, man. I have a feeling that there's some cool shit that we get to build together. So let's consider the seed planted today.
Let's do this. Thank you so much again for having me. This has been so fun. Like, everyone will go and comment headliner for sure and make him write a book. Let's make this happen.
It's time.
I want to read that book.
It's time. Yeah. Thank you for the inspiration.
Wicked. Thank you for having me.